Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Iceman and Bob. We're going to talk about whether or not you should purchase the Samsung S95B at the end of 2022. If you haven't subscribed, I kindly ask that you do so and hit that notification bell. Now, some of the points that I'm going to bring up here may cause controversy. Perhaps you might be triggered by them, but nonetheless, I'm going to bring them up anyway. Now, I have watched TKK's video. I have watched Quantum TV's video. They know who I am. I know who they are in some form or fashion. Nonetheless, I have seen their content, and both of them, well, at least Quantum was essentially saying, forget the TV. I'm taking it off of the recommendation list. Don't buy it. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. Right? And then TKK brought up a lot of the issues on the S95B, though he did say he still likes the TV. Now, I know they actually personally own the TV. I personally own the TV. I have owned this TV as soon as it was released. I was literally one of the first people in the United States and really in the whole world to actually own the TV. I had it back when it was on 1098, so I've seen every iteration of the firmware updates and everything and all of the changes that it went through. I was there. Okay. Now, based upon definitely what Quantum said, this is a no buy. All right. TKK brought up a lot of the issues. It will probably discourage many of you. Let me just come out and say this. Should you buy this TV still in 2022? If you cannot wait, you're in the market for a TV and now is the time, yes. Absolutely. I still recommend this S95B. It's still, even with all its issues, even with firmware limitations, it still punches above its weight and it's still keeping up with the best of them, even with all of the issues. Now, we will get into some of the issues in just a second. But speaking of issues, let me go ahead and tell you all brands have issues when it comes to their TVs. Even the Sony A95K has issues. I put out a video. You can check it out. I'll try to link it at the end of this video where I'm not the one saying this. Okay, this is coming from respected sources where they are in agreement with me about the Sony A95K has issues from multiple people. I'm not talking about a singular isolated issue. Multiple users, multiple consumers have had issues with the TV, even with it just flat out locking up and being completely non-responsive, and you have to literally unplug the TV. That's not a type of experience a user or a consumer should have paying the Sony tax. Okay, and I'm not bashing Sony because I have Sony TVs in my house. I've got LG TVs in my house. I've got Samsung TVs in my house. I purchased nothing but Sony TVs. It is what it is, but they are not flawless and they have issues too. So I just want you all to know, perhaps maybe people like TKK and well, I know Quantum mentioned a couple of things, but what I'm saying is perhaps they have not encountered these issues. Everyone's not going to encounter these issues. Okay, so they may have a flawless experience. Perhaps you may have had a flawless experience, but there are multiple accounts of issues with, especially with the A95K, but Sony TVs as well. So I just want you all to know all of these TVs have issues. There's no guarantee that you're going to have certain issues just because one people or multiple people have it. So back to the S95B, the bent screen issue. I never had it. I bought this TV. I was one of the first ones with it. No bent screens. I know many people, I know other reviewers that have. I know some reviewers that have had to swap it out, 2 or 3 times. A lot of consumers, same thing. It does not mean that every single person is going to get a bent screen. Okay, so if you're looking to purchase this TV, yes, there is a high probability. We could say it's like Russian roulette. You might get one, but then there's also an equally high probability that you won't. Now, I know the operating system, people hate Tizen. I personally don't think it is as bad as people say. especially once you learn some shortcuts on how to get around and navigate. There are ways to get around and navigate. All right. Is it as easy as Google OS? No. No, it's not as usable or user friendly. But once you get used to something, it's not bad. And I'm not saying you should deal with it, but it's not as bad as people are making it. You just have to know how to navigate. Okay. And that can go for a whole lot of things. So don't let that discourage you. You can get to things in 1 or 2 or 3 clicks. You just have to know how to do it. Perhaps I'll put out a video on some shortcuts on how to do it, but a lot of people just don't care. And you get so used to how LG's operating system is and how Sony's operating system. Like, I get it. Yes, they're better, but don't let that discourage you just because of Tizen. Tizen could be better, absolutely, but don't let it discourage you from the TV. It's not that bad to where you can't use it, or where you're just going to be like, man, I'm so frustrated. Okay, I know we're talking from the reviewer perspective, but I have many users that use this TV more than I actually do personally. And my son, he uses his TV, and he's 5 going on 6, and he has no issues navigating this TV. So if a 5-year-old has no issues navigating and doing things and getting to things pretty quickly, you all shouldn't have an issue. That's another conversation. Even with these firmware updates, the image quality and everything you get is still stellar. It is still top notch. It's still, fighting. I'm just going to say for the second spot, perhaps first spot when it comes to the Sony A95K. I know the Sony A95K has the king of TVs title. I really wish they would have gotten to a gaming section with that, or a gaming shootout. I know that was supposed to be it, because I think the Samsung would have got a lot of high remarks as it came to the gaming experience. That's another conversation. But regardless of whether this TV is first in your book, second in your book, heck, even third in your book, it is still kicking butt and taking names, even with the firmware updates. I have the LG C2. I've had LGs before, as I mentioned. I've got Sony TVs, as I mentioned, and this still gives you that top-notch experience, especially once you dial in the settings. You have to dial things in with this Samsung TV. It's not like Sony, where you just open it up and all the settings are right there and you just go run with it. You don't really have to tweak anything. All right. You do have to dial things in, but once you dial things in, you're right there. So even with the firmware updates, if you're just new jumping into purchasing this TV, you're not going to experience all of the ups and downs and the roller coaster ride that people like myself or a lot of these reviewers are experiencing. So if you like the way the TV looks out the box, hey, keep it. There's only one way for you to know for sure. You have to see it for yourself. So whether you see it in a store or someone else's home or another business, or you just purchase it, if you like what you see, don't update it. You don't have to unplug it from the internet. I hear people saying that all of the time. I don't see now with automatic updates turned off ever since 13 in the 1300s. I'm just going to say that with the firmware versions, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it automatically updating. All right, you're set. You can stay connected to the internet. You're good with that. It's still stellar. I still recommend it. It's at a great price. The build quality, unless you're going to be picking the TV up, moving it from room to room, constantly changing things. Now, us reviewers, we have to move the TV a lot to place it next to others in side-by-side comparisons, or perhaps just to be able to get content, to you. So yes, a reviewer will probably be annoyed by the build quality, but honestly, the build quality, it's not built like a tank, and that was not its original purpose. Yes, they should make it stronger, but it's actually fine as long as you take care and take precautions when you take it out of the box and you set it up just like you have to do with any TV, because we're still referring to TVs. All of these TVs can break and be damaged. You still have to be careful. Okay, I have the Sony TVs. They're built like a tank, but you can just break them just as easy. All right. Just take these precautions. Most of you are going to buy it, set it, and forget it. It's not going to be an issue, all right, unless you're moving it around. So if you're the type of consumer that moves your TVs around a lot, perhaps just go get the LG, go get the Sony, or whatever order of those two you want, or some other brand. But for most people, it's not going to be an issue. So I just wanted to say this because I know there's been this increase of, the issues. Yes, they are messing with things with the firmware updates and screwing things up. So just get your TV, leave it alone. Don't update it unless we say update it. I haven't updated mine. I'm still on 1304. There was a time where I couldn't even get the higher firmware versions. I'm fine with it. I know how to calibrate my set. It's currently not calibrated because I was debating on waiting for the updates. I'm going to recalibrate it. I'll get some comparisons out with you with the C2. I have enough hours on it now so I can calibrate it. I've just been busy with family and holidays and so many other things. So, should you buy this S95B still in 2022 if you're not waiting for 2023 models, meaning the S95C, if that's what they're going to call it, et cetera, some other brand? Yes. At the price, still even buying it with 1410 or 1420 out of the box, you're not going to see the difference and the experiences that we've had in going from 1098 or some other previous firmware version. And they have restored some things. Yes, it came at the expense of others, but I still recommend this TV. If you just want something that's tried and true and you are a gamer, go get the C2. If you're a gamer, you actually definitely want to get this TV. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. That's what I have to say. If you haven't subscribed, I kindly ask that you do so. Please hit the notification bell. Talk to me in the comment section. Let me know what you think, but I still recommend this TV. Even with all of its issues, it's still kicking butt and taking names. So on that note, I'm getting out of here, and we'll talk in the comment section. And until I release another video as well, as I always say, until we stream again.